Hi Flosstube, this is Julie, Kansas City girl in a Colorado world. This is Flosstube number 39. Today is Tuesday, April 9th, and I'm going to try to keep this short and sweet because I've got stuff to do. It is a beautiful 78 degrees today. It's sunny and gorgeous, but tomorrow the temperature is going to drop down to 28 and we have a blizzard warning. So, no, 24. So there's gonna be a difference of like 54 degrees between now and tomorrow, which is crazy. So when I get this filmed and like get outside and enjoy some sunshine and fresh air, I don't even know where to start. Let's start with purchases. I bought a few patterns. Not too many, but a few. So Stone Street Stitchworks, which they have an Etsy. You can buy their patterns on Etsy. They released 2 new patterns in the last few days, and I needed both of them. The first one is called the Susan B. Sampler, and it looks like this. And this is for, 2020, next year, is going to be the centennial anniversary of women having the right to vote. So 1920 is when that became a thing. So there is another pattern by, it's on the tip of my tongue. I showed it in my last video. I can't remember what it's called. Oh my god. I showed it in my last video. It's the 1920 to, it's summer, I think it's Summer House Stitchworks. Votes for Women, I think is what it's called. And it's celebrating as well the centennial anniversary. But I'm going to wait to stitch that one closer to 2020 or like try to finish it in 2020. But this one, I don't know if I'm going to wait. I might just, since this one doesn't have a date on it, I might, I might just do it earlier, but I don't know exactly when I'm going to start that. And then they released another pattern that I absolutely had to have. It actually just came out today. I bought it immediately. And it is called Book House. I lived in books more than I lived anywhere else. And what is clever about this one is that these beautiful flower things are really books if you get really close. I might change the colors up on this one. On the other one, the red, white, and blue makes sense to me. Stone Street Stitchworks does a lot of red, white, and blue. So that makes sense to me on that one, but on this one, I don't know why it needs to be red, white, and blue. This isn't like a patriotic stitch, so I might just change the colors up just because I can. And I'm kind of itching to start this one like right away. What else did I get? So I got Nikki's Creations. She released an e-pattern just the other day and I ran out and got it. This is kind of a little picture. Hopefully you'll be able to see. It's called Garden Time Sewing Bag. And it's just really cute, and I thought I could sew that maybe for my mom for Mother's Day. Like I would actually have time to get that done and made into a bag. So I think I'm gonna do that. And then I got, so I showed some Owl Forest embroidery patterns in my last video, and I had looked at their freebies while I was on their website, and I had seen something about Wizard of Oz or Emerald City, and I didn't click on it because it showed, the picture was, I don't know how to describe this, it just looked like abstract art. Like they showed a picture with some abstract shapes on it, and I was like, yeah, not my thing. Like I don't need to stitch abstract art, like I'm fine. And so I didn't even click on it. And then Debbie from Snug Harbor Crafts in her last video was like, hey, I'm doing this Wizard of Oz stitch along through Owl Forest embroidery, and then she showed the section they've released, and I realized that the abstract art like thing I had seen was just the stitch along overview like all blurred out so that they wouldn't spoil the surprise of what's coming out with each section. So I went and grabbed it. It's free if anybody wants to get in on this. It's a free pattern, which is super generous of them. And this is the first section. The overall layout is gonna be, so it's like there's the first section. So it's gonna be pretty big, but not too big. I was looking to see if I could see the overall stitch count. It's here somewhere, I know. I don't see it, but anyway, if you want to join in, that's a free pattern on their website, Owl Forest Embroidery. They now have an English website, which is super awesome. And then so those were my e-patterns that I purchased, and then I went to the thrift store. And I found a treasure. I found an original Prairie Schooler, book number 52, Prairie Year Rounds. This is printed in 1995. And I love it. They're so folksy. I love the palm and I love the pumpkin. I mean, they're all really cute. I love these. $1.99. I went on Saturday where so they have 5 colors of tags, and on Saturday 4 colors are half off. But this past Saturday, pink was the one color that was still full price, but I thought I'd pay the $1.99 for this. And then I also found they had like some old cross stitch magazines, and this one was 99 cents, but it was half off. So I did pay 49 cents for this one. A lot of times these magazines, I'll pick them up and flip through, and they're just super not my style, like at all. A lot of times they're like the ducks and pastels of the 80s or 90s even. This one is 1989. Anyway, there was one pattern in here that I really liked, and I'm not even really sure why, but I really like it. So I might stitch that someday. And I thought if I don't, it was 50 cents. Like, it's all good, you know? No biggie. No biggie. So what else do I have here? Let me just like switch gears for a second and show you a quilt. I finished my coffee mug quilt that I showed last time, and I shipped it off to my sister. So I don't, there are pictures on my Instagram of the final product. And then today I've almost finished my second strip quilt. I made 2 of these. I showed you guys my last one. I made another. I'm going to send these off to my 2 nieces. I'm going to let them pick which one they want. So all I have left to do on this one is complete the binding. The binding's on, but I need to sew it. I need to blind stitch it on the back. So the back is not done, but so just need to watch some Game of Thrones, blind stitch that, and then it's done. I'm going to wash it so it gets crinkly. So this is how this one turned out. It's the Quilt As You Go made modern, and just using strips. It takes like 1.5 jelly rolls to make this. It's just a lap size quilt. It's not very big. And then the backing is just like a simple, like little pebble pattern. I don't think I'll be able to show you guys this when it's fully finished because I'm going to be shipping this off when it's done. So I'll post pictures on Instagram. It's really cute. I did the same thing I did on the other one where I did tons of quilting on it, and it took forever. And I don't think I'll ever do that again. I mean, I will probably do a strip quilt again, but I don't think I'll do that amount of quilting on it again. It's really time consuming. All right, so I had a finish, And so I have earned a new start, but I haven't done it. I haven't done a new start yet, but I've earned one. Because, you know, I have to have 2 finishes before I can start something. So this is my second finish. This is, but I haven't fully finished it yet. This is an Etsy seller called Hardcore Stitch Core. It's called Bless This Hive. It's a Star Wars pattern. Bless this wretched hive of scum and villainy. If you've watched Star Wars, that will make sense to you. And this city is I think it's Mos Eisley. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. This is like a 28 count linen from Michael's. Like, I don't think it's Irish linen. I think it's like Carolina linen by Charles Craft. And with the called 4 DMCs. So I need a screen grab. I forgot to get one last time, and so I had an awkward one. Okay, so there's that. I have lots of options for a new start, but I don't know yet. I don't know. So let's talk shop a little bit, and then I'll get into whips. I wanted to talk about Jessie Marie Does Stuff on Flosstube. Her birthday is coming up at the end of April, and maybe her last one, I think it was her last Flosstube, she was talking about what she's going to do a new start for her birthday. And then she shows this pattern that I'm like, I have that pattern and I have a tiny baby start on it. So I was like, I'm going to sell with you. And she's like specifically like not doing a big sell. She's like, just, you know, stitch on something that I think she's going to stitch the hope sampler. So I want to say she said like stitch on something that makes you hopeful. But I'm like, I actually have the hope sampler, so I'm going to stitch on that with you. So her birthday is April 25th. So I will be stitching this with her, and I just wanted to let you guys know in case any of you have this pattern. It's by Maura Blackburn, and it's the Hope Sampler. It's got an Emily Dickinson poem. I will read it to you. Hope is the thing with feathers that perches in the soul and sings the tune without the words and never stops at all. And I started this for Stitch Mania, so I only got a like tiny baby start. I'm doing this on 40 count Sea Fog. I think it's an R&R. It could be, or Lakeside Linen. It's one of those. And I only had like a tiny little start on it. It's a really pretty like aqua, like a light aqua. And that's all I got on it for one day of stitching on Stitch Mania. So it's almost like a new start for me too. I'm stitching it with Oversoie silks. I'm just picking colors as I go. I just have little like lengths of this silk that I reclaimed from a bunch of like Shepherd's Bush kits. So I hope that works out okay. I don't have a ton of any of the colors, so I'm just going to stitch the little motifs and like work through the colors. That's the plan anyway. Okay, so now let's talk about whips. As per usual, School of Magical Stitches and Literature on Facebook has us all stitching on so many things and having so many whips because you have to meet these challenges and you have to make your whips fit. So you're like reaching for things that you probably wouldn't have maybe, but you need it because you need that color or you need that theme or you need that item, or that designer with like the designer name that has a letter and a word, whatever. It's very fun, and it really forces you to like think outside the box and to touch whips that you probably wouldn't have, which is really cool. And to touch more whips than you probably would have, which is really fun. Now, I am lucky that I have so many whips. You guys probably remember, I think I'm at 94 right now. So I have a lot, so I have a lot of options, and it's really not been challenging for me to find things that fit into homework. I know it's a lot harder for other people, but it's been pretty easy for me. So that's the one benefit of having so many whips. So anyway, I worked on, my first whip was the Primitive Needle Salem Remembered, and I just have a working copy here, so I have like a really crappy picture of it. I worked on this for the extra credit for stitch the frames or the borders of something. And so I worked on the frames and the borders of this pattern. I'm stitching this on 40 count primitive hair linen. It's called Old Salem. I thought that fit with the Salem Witch Trial theme. And this is where I'm at. So I stitched like all of this and came over and stitched on this until I got 500 stitches. I'm stitching that with like color and cotton mostly, from the Halloween box. I'm using these 2 flosses from the Halloween box. And then this green is a Dinky Dyes. And I think that's it. It only calls for a couple colors. So then I got out the Primitive Hair Lizzie Borden because I needed, I think it was something scary. Lizzie Borden coming at you with an axe sounded pretty scary to me. This is with DMC, called for DMC, but on a fabric I hand dyed myself to look kind of bloody. I got a lot done. I'm almost halfway done. I don't know if that's picking up the color. That's more the color. It's a warm, it's like a goldy brown with red. And when I bring it in, I think I lose the gold. So that's pretty true, I think. I got out Cherry Hollow Farm. We had a Dementor attack and we needed some chocolate, so we had to stitch something brown. This is a picture of the best picture, the only picture that's provided. It's cut off a little bit. This is Stacy Nash Cherry Hollow Farm sampler. It's a kit. It was a market exclusive a couple years ago. It's all Weeks 36 count beige linen and Weeks flosses. And I stitched a ton on the border to get my brown stitches in. So I'm more than halfway done with this. That border's been a total pain. It's a very tricky border and it's really annoying. But I'm almost done with it. And I love it. It's tricky. It's annoying. So then I got Snooty Parrots out because we had to stitch on something we changed or modified, and I've made this my Gilmore Girls tribute sampler, so I've changed it a ton. This is what it looks like. I changed the verse. I changed Adam and Eve to Luke and Lorelai. And then when I get down here, I'm going to make some big changes too, but I haven't gotten down there yet. This is on 40 count R&R Stars Hollow blend. I thought that was fitting. It calls for, not Valdani, it calls for, I think, a bunch of like weeks. And I changed mine to silk, so mine's almost all Dinky Dyes. Got a lot done on this piece. This go round, I stitched over here on this deer and this urn. That's kind of what I was focused on this time. The other stuff I had stitched before. My verse is, I can't I can't remember. I can't stop drinking the coffee. If I stop drinking the coffee, I stop doing the standing and the walking and the words putting into sentence doing. If you've watched Gilmore Girls, that makes more sense. And if you haven't watched Gilmore Girls, you should. I think most people would agree with me on that. And then we had to stitch on something dark, we had to stitch with dark thread, dark floss. And I had lots of options, but I was like, you know what? I've been neglecting this and I just need to bite the bullet and do it. So I got out my one Hade. It's Mini Milagros La Luna, the one I'm doing. It's the smallest one I could find. That's by Jasmine Beckett Griffith. They probably have smaller ones than this, but it's the smallest one she has. And I love it. And just so happens that the small bit I'm still working on is I'm still in the very dark part. So I did mostly like all of this right here. I had this bit done. I'm doing this 1/1 on 28 count. So it's funny because I need to like trim this down. It's going to be tiny. It's going to be like 5 by 7. And I really need to make a point. I put 300 stitches on that for the challenge or for the homework. I really need to make a point to work on that more. I think I need to like make some kind of goal, like 100 stitches a day or like 500 stitches a week, something like that. So I can start to like chip away at that one. For a Hade, it's pretty small. 100 stitches, normally I can knock out like in an hour, but not on a Hade when you're making like 40 color changes. You know, it's confetti. I'm getting into the confetti for sure. So 100 stitches takes a little longer than you think it would. But I've got to make a point to work on that. I know about the Facebook groups, like the Full Coverage Fanatics and all that stuff, and I'm not ready to like make that kind of commitment. So, and then the last thing I've been working on, I'm going to work on some more today even, is the Works of Jane Austen Sal. It's by Suburban NUI. There's a Facebook group. You can buy it on Etsy. And she's doing the Works of Jane Austen, and we're up to Mansfield Park. I'm not up to Mansfield Park. But the pattern release is up to Mansfield Park. I'm still chipping away at Sense and Sensibility. So, pardon my wonkiness in my Q-snap. I still haven't figured that out. This is where I'm at. I finally finished Barton College, and now it will go fast. This part of Sense and Sensibility will really go faster because it's not so dense, right? So I'm finally done with this. I'm over here, and then this will go probably pretty quick, but then I got to do Pemberley. But yeah, I can, it's not that much stitching. It's just like sitting down and devoting time to it. But I love it. I really do. It's all called for colors. It's 1/2 on 36 count. This is an XJU Designs. This is Misty Mountain, I think. It was like an October fabric of the month or something, September, somewhere in there. So I'm going to work on that some more today. So those are all my whips. And I've already showed you my finish. And I wanted to show you guys, I have so many things I want to start. And last weekend I just sat and kitted up projects. Like I picked the projects that are calling to me the most, and I kitted them up so that I can start them at some point. Although, you know, I have to like earn those starts. I have to have 2 finishes to earn my start. So I'm staying strong. I'm staying the course, but Stitch Mania is like just really tempting me so bad. It's so tempting. I'm like, I want to do some starts for Stitch Mania, but you know, I have my rule, and I do have some whips I need to abandon. And I'm just thinking, I've been going back and forth on like, I mean, there's some things that I'm ready to let go. Like, I'm not going to stitch them. I'm not going to finish them, and that's fine. So I'm like, okay, like, let's say I find 4 whips to toss. Then can I replace them with 4 new starts? Or even if I did my rule of finish 2, start 1, could I replace them with 2 new starts? Is that cheating? It's not really cheating, and these are my rules. I can do what I want. But I just keep waffling. It's very motivating to need 2 finishes to get a start. Like, it really makes me like put my head down and stitch, because I do want to start things. So I'm like, okay, I got to get this done. I got to get this done. So it's very motivating, but like I said, I want to do some more. I want to start some things, and the finishing is going slower than I thought. I don't know. What do you guys think? You guys are always so nice. Like, you guys are going to be like, yes, replace your 6 abandoned whips with 6 new starts. Yes. Like, you guys are going to tell me to do it. I know you are. I'm just not sure yet. I'm still waffling. I'm still waffling about Stitch Mania. Let me show you though some things I've got ready, waiting in the wings, ready to go. This sampler by Minerva, or it's by Needlework Press. It's called Minerva Aleph 1886. I've got this kitted up. I love this sampler because it's so bright, and I love that it doesn't have a religious verse on it. And I've got it kitted up with like crazy bright, like ship's manner flosses, things like that. It's also quite small, so once I started, I think it could be finished in a reasonable time. What else do we have in here? Like I said, I just kind of went through and like picked my favorite things. Oh, yeah, this one. Cannot wait to start. The Quilting Bee by the Blue Flower. Oh, I guess I should show you guys like what I've kitted them up with, just because otherwise I'm just showing you patterns I've already shown you before. For Minerva Aleph, I've got a 40 count Old Salem primitive hair, and then I subbed out all the flosses, these like crazy bright colors. It's a bright sampler, and the original is even brighter than this. So like, here's the original right here. It's really bright. For the Blue Flower, I'm really excited about this. It calls for like not that many flosses, just some gentle arts. But I subbed with what I had, like color and cottons and whatever. I'm gonna do this on a X-Jude 40 count gold sand. I think it's gonna be really pretty. This is a really fun fabric. I don't know how well it's showing up, but it's kind of a mottled honeybee, like a yellow and black, like honeybee kind of feel. So I'm gonna do that. And then I stayed true to the called for colors just with what I had. So, I mean, I'm not going like hog wild here. But I don't think it's any of the called for colors. It's like what I had that made sense with the pattern. I think there's one I didn't have. I'm going to have to figure out. I can't remember. So that's ready to go. I'm not going to show you all of these. I'm just showing you a few. This is one I've been wanting to get to, Lucy Beam Crown House. And it's not very big either. And I pulled a mystery linen. I'm like almost sure it's like a lakeside linen, vintage country mocha or something like that. I believe it's 40 count, maybe 36 count. I have some of the called for colors, and if I didn't, I just picked something close. I really want to do this one, Mrs. Bingley's Library by Plum Street. And I had some of the called for on this, and if I didn't, I just again subbed for something very close, and I'm gonna do it on this X-Jude linen. It's called it's a 40 count. It's called Light Nugget. It's a different look than what it calls for, but I thought it could look good. What else do we have in here, you guys? I kitted up one of my Al Forest embroidery. It's all DMC, but I'm gonna, this one is in Russian or in Cyrillic. I think this one is called Pembrelli, and I'm gonna do it on this really pretty pinkish brown by X-Jude. Did I write down what it's called? I lost the label for it. It's somewhere. I think it's called, I know it's not Nugget. I don't remember. Ash Rose, maybe, I think it's called. Primitive Hair, The Old Winter. And this one just calls for DMC. But what's special about this is I'm going to do it on the Primitive Hair linen, which is a snowflake linen. So that's not stitched, that's printed on the linen. It's so pretty. I love that one so much. All right, let's show one more. I have so many in here, and I'm not going to show all of them. Let's show another one. Oh, I'm excited about this one. I really want to start this soon. All Souls Vierlinden by Quiltify Design. Deceptively looks pretty small, but it's actually pretty big. I'm going to do this on beautiful vintage buttercream by Lakeside. 40 count. I'm going to use these gorgeous DMC variegated in 115, which is just gorgeous. I love that red work look, and I love this floss. And it's cheap, and this is more gold. More that color. It's going to be really, really pretty. So those are some of my new starts if I ever get around to earning some of those new starts. So that's all I have for today. Thanks for watching. If you have any input about Stitch Mania plans and about these new starts, let me know. If there's one that you're like, oh my gosh, I want to see that, you got to start that ASAP. Let me know. Maybe it can like jump to the front of the start basket. I have a basket, and I didn't show you guys everything, so I've got more. So anyway, let me know what you want to see, and I will take it into consideration. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.